So I'm really, really happy to be here. What I want to begin with is a little bit of a meditation. And the meditation is really just to kind of get us into that consciousness to be ready, right, to receive whatever is ours to receive. And so I'm taking this meditation actually from Practical Metaphysics by Eric Butterworth, who's a classic Unity teacher. And what I'd invite you to do is to take a couple of deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you're taking these breaths, you acknowledge the truth of your human incarnation, and you acknowledge our shared humanity as we take in these breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I want you to be still with me for a moment. I would like you just to whisper to yourself right now, I exist. I exist. Right here and right now, the whole universe is projecting itself in focus through an infinite and wonderful idea, which I am. This is God's image and likeness. This I amness is me. Let us remember and never forget that beyond the appearance, beyond the human, beyond the flesh, beyond the limitation of relationship and environment, there is an allness. There's a wholeness. There's an I'm-ness. This is what I really am. I exist. I am. And take a deep breath. I am an individualized expression of the infinite. I am an expression as the Christ, as me, the son, the daughter, the child of this living essence that is all around me, that is living within me, and that is everywhere I see. Now that we're aligned to that truth, that beingness, that allness, then we're here to what's mine to do, right? Here I am, totally connected, aware, awake, ready. Now what? So I'm going to continue my series of talks around what is mine to do. And I've been sharing teachings from a text, I Am the Word, channeled through by Paul Selig. And some of us have been doing a little book study on it, kind of going to the deep dive, which has been really fun. So last month I talked a little bit of one of the claims that is made in this teaching, and that is I am Word through my body. And that's the you that's here in expression that came here today, you know. That's the you that you've chosen, that avatar, that vehicle through which, you know, you are living this life. And today I'm going to talk about claiming. So it's really true of everyone that we are word through the body. And this is, and when we say that, what do we mean by word? We mean we're an aspect of the Creator in expression. An aspect, okay? Think of this as multifaceted, just like, you know, I don't know, little mirrors on a disco ball, you know, everyone is shining. and expressing and reflecting this truth. And it is true for everyone, without exception. And the how is to step into this as word. How do we step into it as word, as our true nature? We say that we're divine expression having a physical experience, right? As Barbara, as Janice, as Janet, you know? And that's fine, all of these different ways. So when we're doing our claims, our I am claims, are we claiming as truth, or are we claiming it kind of in the abstract? Unity does that a lot. We tend to kind of be out here in this abstract world of thoughts and ideas. And, embodying is what this is about. I am word to the knowing of myself as word is one of the claims that the guides through Paul Selig teach. I am word through the knowing of myself as word. So there's some, presence in that. So in the book, I Am Word, this is how the guides teach it. You are one with the power and the frequency and the energy that created you, whether or not you believe it. People used to tell me, well, I just don't believe in God. And I'm like, well, that's okay. Because God believes in you. You are that. See, without a doubt. It doesn't matter what you believe. So really, frankly, you cannot be outside of God. You cannot be outside of God. Because God is all. So what's excluded? Only that which we deny. And we have the ability to do that. However, you can hold your consciousness at a low frequency through wrong thinking, through wrong belief systems, or through a belief in damnation that will keep you out of the light. You cannot believe that you have been damned and not act as if it's true. Guess what, everybody? The guides say, it's not true. Nobody is outside of the light. They only believe they are, and that is a great tragedy. So what we're seeing in the world that doesn't look like God is that denial in some way or form, right? So in unity, we talk about principles. God is principle number one, right? One power, one presence. And then I'm part of that. And then we have practices, prayer and meditation, right? So that's, what it is. Now, what is a principle? So a principle is a fact or a truth that is constant and has no opposite. It's always true. It's never sometimes true and not true other times. It's always true. An example of a simple mathematical principle we learned. 2 + 2 is 4, right? No matter where you are or what you are doing or how you are doing it, 2 + 2 will always equal 4. If you arrive at a 3 or a 5, the error is yours. So that's principle. The principle is neutral. It's neither good nor bad, which means it can be used constructively or destructively. When used constructively, the invisible principle leads to positive, visible effects in our lived experience. When used destructively, the visible effects show up as negative experiences. This principle is active in our lives whether we consciously use it or not. Most of the time, we're unconscious of how we're using this principle. So according to Charles Fillmore, he actually wrote a paper in 1931 called The Undisciplined State of Consciousness. So listen to that word, undisciplined, okay? Which means, there's a way to do this that's better. And it is his message was about God as principle, speaking of God as principle, not as a guy, not as a man, not as a thing up there, not separate from us, but as a principle. God is not like a man. God is omnipresent spirit, accessible, just like electricity, just like sunshine, just like air, to our mind, to your mind, and to your thought. So God's available. It's always there. It's the allness. It's the isness. So we have to begin with our claiming of God as principle. That's step one. If we say God out there, then God isn't principle. So we're already not in alignment. We're already off. So in the Revealing Word, which is a dictionary of metaphysical terms that Charles Fillmore wrote, he says, those who make the indwelling spirit of truth their guide and authority will not be deceived by false claims made either by other persons or by institutions. The safe way is to trust the spirit of truth continually for protection from false beliefs. And that's our connection to the allness, to that which is. So it's when we're not there that we kind of have issues. So, I mean, like, is anybody experiencing that? So I want to tell you this. I had a teacher in college who, she was a Irish nun. She was a twin. She was adorable. Her name was Sister Theophany. And she told me, Sandra, the best way to learn something is to teach it. So when I'm doing this, it's for me. So we go into then our tools. So we have this understanding, this awareness, this idea. And now how do we, bring it into fruition in our lives? And those are the tools that we have, which is prayer and meditation. Okay? And Charles Fillmore wrote that the purpose of meditation is to expand the consciousness Christward, to bring into realization, as in to make real in our experience, that's what the word realization means, divine truth, to be transformed in spirit, soul, and body by the renewing of the mind, which is beholding these ideas that are not true. Okay? So it's to get us in alignment to what is already and always true. That's why we meditate. So the guides through Paul Selig actually teach a process. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things that I really love about Paul Selig is that Paul Selig's, as a channel in modern day, now, he's only been doing this for, I don't know, maybe 2013 when it started, his channeling. He's reached a lot of people with these concepts because they are able to hear it coming from him. But they're not new for us. They're not new for Unity at all. And that's very exciting to me. I get to translate a lot of stuff with the people that I work with because they're hearing these things for the very first time and they're trying to make sense out of it. And I'm like, oh my God, Charles had it down in 1930. The guides through Paul Selig teach that there is a process. And the process is, first we have an intention. We have to set the intention that we want to align to this truth because we get to decide. Free will, right? And then we have what's called acclamation, which means we honor it. We let it settle in. Like first we intend it, right? We intend it. And then we allow ourselves to acclimate to it. And then we're in reception, which is basically receiving it, to be in receipt of it. Does that sound really complicated? No. So like I have the intention to be in a cool space. And so I recognize that I am in a cool space compared to what it was like out there. And then I am in reception of it. I just receive it. This is cool. I'm in a cool space. Okay, so prayer is a form of intention. Remember, intention is the first thing you got to set the intention. Prayer is a form of intention. However, there's a difference between begging for something and stating your own worth as a receiver of an answered prayer. This is from I Am the Word. So, you know, in unity, and some of us come to unity and don't understand why, you know, we don't ask God for things. And then some of us still do, because we still haven't acclimated and, you know, accepted that God is already present and available as principle, right? So we're still in that kind of stage of our development. We're trying to figure this out. That we're not begging, we're not asking, we're affirming. So let me ask, just by show of hands, how many of you all have called silent unity and have affirmative prayers prayed over you? Raise your hand if you have. Great. If you haven't, I'm going to tell you it's a free 800 number call, and I recommend you do it today. All right? And then you use that because it's going to help you. Of course, learning to do this for yourself is also wonderful, and I'm going to give you a couple little tips for that. Okay, so prayer is a form of intention. So in Discover Your Divinity, which is this book, this is from Practical Metaphysics. It's Eric Butterworth, you know, classic author of Unity teachings. After reading I Am the Word and being shifted in consciousness, I go back to this material and I'm like, wowzer. I see it with a whole new kind of eyes. Discover your divinity. Okay, does that mean you have to have it, you have to do something to get it? It's already there. You're discovering it, right? And it's a modern guide to affirmative prayer. Oh, excuse me. In the book, Discover Your Divinity, that one is actually written by Linda Martella Whitsett. She is a unity minister who's in charge of silent unity. She wrote this book, Discover Your Divinity. So from that one, it says, identifying recognizable attributes of God allows us to see those attributes in ourselves so that we can claim and embody them. So you have to recognize those attributes that are already present in God as God. We start there. And it's kind of in alignment with science of mind. How many of you are familiar with science of mind? Okay, science of mind takes on a very kind of scientific, philosophical process for prayer, and they call it having a mind treatment. We're going to treat your mind because your mind is creating in a way that is out of alignment. And so they have their steps. And what Unity is doing through this book, written by Reverend Linda Martella Whitsett, who is in charge of training all of the prayer chaplains in silent unity. And, you know, it's like the way we're kind of aligning with that concept. And so we begin by identifying these recognizable attributes of God. And so that is how we begin to shift and treat our mind, all right? That's holding thoughts that are creating what we don't want to create. So the first core principle is that God is one. So that's our first principle too, right? One power, one presence. And we recognize the presence and the power of a single universal God or source. And that is all present, the allness of the allness. I sit here and I say thousands of words to get my mind aligned, okay? The allness of all that is, that which does not exclude anything. You know, I just go on and on and on because I have to get myself aligned to that. Because I grew up with God is up in the sky, like probably all you did too. So, and that this oneness with God, we're affirming that each one of us has an inherent connection of oneness with this God. We are that. We're not of something else, because that's not possible, right? We're of that. So first you say there is this oneness principle, and I am of that. Well, that's principle number 2, right? The way we say it. And then we go into realization, which is we declare the desired outcome as a present reality based on the faith and the power of spirit. We go into realizing that if that is true and I am that, then it's possible. See? Whoa, that's realization. If it doesn't feel like, whoa, then you're not in realization. I could have had a V8, a realization. And then when you're in that realization, now you're in it, you're of it, you're there. It is there, it's present, it's yours. Then you have this overwhelming sense of gratitude for that knowing. I know that I am, right? I know. Gratitude is where you express thankfulness for the manifestation of the desired outcome. And then you release it. You let it go. You don't have to do it again. You don't have to pray harder. You don't have to pray longer. You don't have to want it more. You just align and remember the truth. And when you feel gratitude, it's got to trigger gratitude in you. Okay? If it's not triggering gratitude, you're not there yet. So I had a prayer teacher at Unity Church of the Hills in Austin who's already passed, and he was trained in science of mind. And when he were training, I was a prayer chaplain, and as he was training us in one of the trainings, he said, Sandra, don't move until you're there. And I was thinking it's just words, and it's not. It's energy. And I shift my energy in the realization of it, and then I feel gratitude automatically. Like when someone hands you something, when you walked into the cold from the heat, you felt gratitude. Oh, this is great, right? You received it like that. Does that make sense? Okay. So affirmative prayer is anchored in our divine humanity. It's anchored in us having this life experience here on earth now, as us, authentically us. It asks us to move past petitioning, begging, pleading, or trying to get God to do something. And it's okay if you're still kind of there, then just put a little note there that this is where my place is to begin working, right? With that idea. It's about our own awakening to what we are capable of being first, and then allowing that being to inform our doing in the world. When we remember our spiritual identity, who we really are. Yeah. Even though, I am Sandra, and I live in Austin, and I drove over here, and I like, Whataburger, whatever. That's just my personal preference, right? But I'm more than that, and so are you. That we are the word, spoken into expression, right? Here we are. So now affirmations declare the truth of who we are. And many of the songs that, Emily and Osiel pick to do at the beginning of the services are really aligned to affirm and get you kind of in that space. And they do a great job. Oh my God. But you have to let those songs work on you too. You can't just sing them, like I'm not here yet, I'm still doing my shopping list, I'm trying to figure out what, you're somewhere else. Let them lift you. And then we begin to use affirmations. Everyone here is used to affirmations. We're affirming. What I want to point out to you is to notice that you also use affirmations in a way that is not helpful. All right? We claim a lot of stuff that we say, well, there it is, Sandra. What am I supposed to say that it's not there? There it is. Well, there is something there, true, but it is not expressing at the highest level. It's not. And I, because I'm a student of truth, can see past that. I can recognize it, but I got to see through that to the truth that is also there inherently. Because all is of God. All is God, right? So when we use affirmations, the positive affirmations, and some of us tend to have these thoughts and affirm negative and affirm negative and affirm negative, and we never switch over to positive. And if we don't start doing that, we're missing the opportunity to shift our own consciousness. Because these affirmations aren't just wishful thinking. They are helping us as statements of truth to override our insecurities, fears, and doubts, which is really what is claiming in the negative. If we're afraid of something, we're going to claim in the negative. If we have doubts that maybe God isn't all that, or whatever, or maybe it's not, you know what I'm saying? You know, this is our monkey mind. It goes there, which is the reason why we're here. We're here to know that and to align to the truth of all that is, and then to affirm from there with power. Of course we have power. We turned on the light. We got power, all right, within ourselves. And it helps us to see past the circumstances to spiritual truth. Affirmations are not hopes and wishes. Affirmations are not magic. Affirmations are tools for remembering an absolute truth about ourselves, to own something we perhaps have never even realized was true. Realization. When you realize something, you make it real in your experience. So affirmations remind us and realign us to our true nature. I am word is a good one. It's easy. It's simple. I am word, an aspect of the creator in expression. Okay, I start that. I am that. And I claim it. I align to it. I allow it to fill me with that truth. And it is our true nature. And that is what has the power to transform any false beliefs. That is, not me, you know, my wishful thinking. That has no power. That's just that, you know, like he said, using it undisciplined. Undisciplined is the way Charles said. So we're going to practice, when we practice to align to the frequency that is always present. Now, Unity teaches in the prayer is that they have a flow to their prayers. Okay, remember what I told you? He said, don't move until you get there. So it's the flow of the prayer, and it starts with, first I recognize that God is, which is kind of what we did in the meditation. I said, I want you to feel what that feels like in your knowing. And so if you're not meditating like that, to feel that, then you're not using your meditation time as effectively as you could be, right? So spend that, you know, people say, oh, I don't know how to meditate. Oh, no. What does it take? A couple of minutes even. And what are you doing? You're aligning to that truth. That's all. You're allowing it to fill you. You're just sitting still enough and saying, yes, let me have it. Let me be aware of it. And you wait until you feel it, however it's going to move in you. That's very effective meditation right there. Okay? And then you recognize that God is. So when you first align to the new possibility, it just says that I'm open to the possibility of this. It establishes your readiness. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm open. I'm willing to this possibility of this understanding. I'm willing to open up. I'm willing to see this shift. Okay? That's step one. And sit in it until you get it, till you feel something. And then you recognize that God is, and then from this place, you open willingness, you recognize and you name what God is. And the way you do that is you can start by recognizing a divine principle that is of God. So if I were to say God is, what would you fill in the blank with? Okay, love because you were told that, or love because you feel it? See what I'm talking about? It's about feeling it. So wait to see. God is all of the things. God is beauty. God is joy. God is truth. God is justice. God is life. God is vitality. See? So you align to a principle of God. First you say you're willing, then you align to a principle of God, and then you integrate that into you. I am that. Once you recognize God is a specific principle or power, a quality, like love or peace, or, you know, all of us need peace right now, so you can do that one. Peace or abundance, if that's what it is, whatever it is that you're needing, you feel is lacking somehow in your awareness, because it's not lacking, it's out there, it's just lacking in your awareness. Then you integrate that divine principle and you understand it in your own beingness. I am that. God is love, I am love. God is abundance, I am abundance. God is joy, I am joy. You align, okay? And then you realize what is it that you can have or know from this space of awareness, of this realization. So from this integrated awareness of your oneness, you can now realize a spiritual truth in any situation. We can realize that we can do what we know, what we have, what is available to us. It's in realization we're able to activate the principle in time and space, which is what you came here for. And then you appreciate the shift in consciousness, which is that gratitude. When you're aware of that, you go, oh my goodness, this is so great. You're grateful. You have this final movement of prayer is actually appreciation for that shift that occurred in your own consciousness. How long does it take to have that shift? I don't know. However long it takes, right? The only thing that's keeping us from it is ourselves. So let's do it together. And we're going to claim it in consciousness of our true nature. And we're going to use a prayer that you all use all the time, which is the prayer for protection. All right? Beautiful prayer for protection. And I'm going to say the words, and I want you to repeat them. You don't have to repeat them out loud. The idea is for you to feel them. Does that make sense? To really let yourself go there in your own ideas and consciousness. So first you need to kind of clear the decks by taking some deep breaths. Deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth help to release whatever you're holding. And then the light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. Feel it. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever I am, God is. God is. God is. And I speak the word as an aspect of God in expression. And so it is. Allow yourself to feel the gratitude and appreciation for the knowing of yourself as a word. Allow yourself to feel it, step into it, and let it show itself to you in your experience. And then from there, you make your claim. I am whole. I am blessed. I am abundant. I am peace. How did that feel? A little different, huh? Well, that's what it is. Love you. Thank you so much.